Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Jack's vlog. And sorry about all those strobe lights in the background, that's what's up at the gym. Of course, he changed gyms in the middle of the week, and as you guys know, we're dealing with a little bit of a minor pec strain. Again, one of my issues with, this style of programming, which is why I prefer conjugate for a lot of my lifters, just to avoid overuse, because we're coming up on his meet. And I mean, it's this month, right? We're like 20 days out. So we really only have about 2.5 weeks of real training left. So we did some light benching, and I'm just going to have him do some singles, not quite to a true max this coming week, and just do floor pressing per volume while we let that pec heal up. And I'm not going to have him do that for about 3 days. We're going to let that pec continue to heal up, streamlining his accessory work after this a little bit, and again, getting him ready for meet. So as you guys see, we do press downs, we do some back work, some pull-ups and stuff on one of the 2 bench days, and the other day is more of rowing and triceps. And so we're going to streamline that the next couple of weeks. We're pretty much just going to floor press, row, and do dumbbell work for his triceps. In the final weeks going into the meet, we're going to do, again, just some heavy singles on the benching after this. Squatting this week definitely was our best. He hit 405 for a double, which he said is a PR in terms of actual rep work. He's never repped over 400 before, even though he's hit up into the 400s since comp. Now, keeping in mind, he has dropped down a weight class, and he is tall. Again, for his weight class, he's very, very tall. Again, this is a drug-tested meet. He is still a very young but lifetime drug-free lifter. So we're pretty happy, honestly, at this point for him, especially after having done a cut going down a weight class. I'm actually happy with 405 for a double. Long term, I'd love to get him closer to a 500 squat. The only issue is, again, the weight he's willing to carry relative to his height. That's going to take a long time to build to a 500. Some people would be like, but isn't he over 200 pounds? Yeah, but he's like 6'4". My sub 200 pound guys who are squatting 500 plus tend to be on the much shorter side. I think the lightest lifter I have who's hit 500 is 175. Right, that's the lightest guy I've got. But he's also in the the 5'6" to 5'7" range. Which again, we're dealing with below average height. So just a thing to keep in mind, these taller lifters like this tend to be very dependent on their body weight for squats. But, all things considered, that again, he doesn't have many years under the barbell. We have a lot of wiggle room to grow over the years. I feel like eventually Jack will be able to get a 500 squat. Right, but that is a very long-term goal. And again, it's going to be dependent upon, what he's willing to weigh. He likes having visible abs. Okay, younger guy, married. His wife likes the abs, so we work with it. Now, we've gotten to where we're not perfectly happy with the GHR form, but the fact that he can do them at all. Remember, we used to only be able to do some negatives. At least we're getting the hamstring work. And he and I have talked about this. We know that hamstring's limit is deadlift. He's pulling over 500. In fact, we got over 500 this week on camera coming up. But his hamstrings tend to really be his limit. They tend to be his limit. He's also changing gyms to one that has all competition equipment, calibrated kilo plates, everything else, which matters. Because he noted, he's like, these kilo plates are so much harder. They really are. And I think that's something that throws people off. They'll do a gym lift on a deadlift, and they'll do it fresh, right? They'll hit a heavy single, and they're using bumper plates or using the bigger iron plates, stuff like that, right? And then they get to a competition when they have to use the kilo plates, and then they can't lift what they lift in the gym. Or he's calling them kilo plates, but really it's because they're calibrated. And I think this is one reason I like to occasionally do the stiff bar. And you guys will see me do that. You guys have seen me personally do 600 with a stiff bar on a deficit using those plates, because it definitely gives an idea of where strength is, right? And it matters. And it has to do with the amount of bar flex involved. If you got a reasonably whippy bar and you're using those thicker plates, the bar bends a lot more. It makes the pull from the floor tremendously easier, particularly if you got a bar that whips. And so it can create a very false idea of your strength, particularly for lifters who don't have really powerful quads, which is what we use to break it off the floor. Okay, so it matters in that context, and he noted that in our notes, chatting this week. For benching, we just kind of went light. We just want to maintain muscle. We want to keep his triceps, lats, upper back big too. And so we're just trying to maintain muscle while we let that strain heal, because we want to bench over 300 at this meet. We need his pec fully healed for that. And I think we got 305 for a double right before he started getting some major inflammation. So again, just stuff we have to work on over time. And a lot of that is just going to require him to mature as a lifter further and to build that work capacity and recovery. And I'd love to take Jack and put him on conjugate. He really prefers this style of programming, and I'm going to try to talk him into conjugate for his future meets, mainly because, again, we don't run the same risk with overuse. One reason I love the system. But on this day, we mostly focused on just some lighter benching, a lot of rowing, a lot of triceps. Again, just keeping the muscle mass there so that we can come back in and try to get a couple heavy singles going into the meet and get a respectable bench. But, again, considering he's dropped down a weight class, we're happy with that. As long as we're benching over 300, we're in a good spot. Deadlift, he pulled 230 kg. He's like, wow, this felt heavy. Like, again, those calibrated plates, using a stiff bar, because that's what he's going to have to do in comp. He's not doing USPA. So, that being said, we're not going to have a deadlift bar. So, we've got to get that drive off the floor. And he noted that, and I told him, you'll be fine. You're going to pull more than 230. I know it felt heavy, but you had some pounds in the tank. You had some kilos there. It's going to be okay. Right? Especially you come in, rested up, fed up, and everything. Right? Get a bunch of carbs throughout the meet, rest during the meet. You'll be fine. He's got to keep his head straight there. And keep his head straight. Then, of course, we do our back off work, and then he basically just did hamstring work, reverse hypers, abs after that. So, again, we didn't have the GHR at this other gym he's at, and he's moving areas. So he's going to find a powerlifting gym after this meet's over. So hopefully he has access to a more equipped meet or a more equipped gym. Again, he's moving areas a little bit. Same city, just moving across the other end of it. And I'm hoping he'll have some better equipment, and we can go ahead and get him up to the next level. It'll be nice for it at a well-equipped gym, and there are some in the area, so I think he's going to be okay. But, so we did some hamstring curls. He did his reverse hypers, and this one thing he noted, he goes, at least this gym, we have calibrated plates. I've got access to a reverse hyper here for now, so I can finish getting ready for this meet. And I agree, it's fine. It's fine for our purposes here. But because, again, I want to work on those hamstrings. Even though we're getting down to the wire here, his hamstrings are always going to seem to be his limiting factor, and it's the way he's built. Again, long levers, being 6'4". Hamstrings are going to matter. They're going to matter a lot. So then we have some reverse hypers, which we finish up with. And they only have one of the scout hypers here. I'd love for him to get in a gym with a bigger reverse hyper. Again, you guys know how I feel about the reverse hypers. I feel it's a very powerful deadlift building tool. And then, of course, he finishes up after that with some hanging leg raises, which you guys can watch coming up here at the end. So I hope it has been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.